So now we're going to start discussing counting and probability. So let's say you take 2 coins and you're going to toss them in the air. And we want to know how many heads we get. So there are 3 different possibilities. You can get 0, 1, or 2 heads. And so if I guess how often each one of these occur, we would guess that maybe because there are 3 of them, each one occurs a third of the time. So say, guess each occurs 1/3 of the time. But this actually is not true. So to see why this is not true, we're going to look at this experiment. Let's say we take and do this 50 times, where we flip these 2 coins, and we're going to record how many times we got each number of heads. So I'll lay it out in this chart for you. Here's our event. Number of times occurred. So let's say, so we have 2 heads, 1 head, or 0 heads. And out of these 50 times, I write down how many of those 50 did I get 2 heads. So I did this, I got 11. How many times did I get 1 head? 27. How many times did I get 0 heads? 12. So then often what you do is take this frequency and you compute relative frequency. So you take your frequency and divide by the total number of times you did this. So we did it 50. This would be 22%. So then 27 out of 50, this would be 54%. And 12 out of 50 would be 24%. So if you look and notice here, you'll see that 2 heads and 0 heads, the percentages are pretty similar, 22% and 24%. But this one here, 1 head, occurs a whole lot more often, 54%. So why is this the case? Well, let's think about our outcomes that we could get if we have 2 coins. So I'm going to draw some diagrams to help us see these outcomes. So the first one, so I have 2 coins here. I'll call the first one A and the second one B. There's only one way I can get 2 heads. They both come up heads. But to get 1 head, there are 2 ways I could do that. Either A is heads and B is tails, or A is tails and B is heads. And to get 0 heads, there's one way to do that. They both come up tails. So, in actuality, there are 4 different outcomes you can get here, not 3. And so 2 heads occurs once, 1 out of the 4 times, so there's a 1 in 4 chance. 1 head there are 2 different outcomes, so there's 2 out of 4 chance, or 50%. 0 heads, there was 1 way to do that out of 4, so there's a 1/4 chance. So these numbers match up again with what we actually observed. Our experimental values were pretty close to these if you convert these into percentages. Now it's important when we're talking about probability here that we make sure we're talking about random processes. So we're going to say that a process is random. What does that mean? Means that when it takes place, one outcome from some set of outcomes is sure to occur, but it is impossible to predict with certainty which outcome that will be. So you can't say 100% which outcome will occur. So for example, in our coin procedure we were looking at before, we're assuming that those are standard coins where there's a heads and a tails on one side. These aren't rigged coins where, for example, there's a head on both sides. And it's very important that we look at random processes.